Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Garland and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, I get you the top 40 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. We begin with updates from the war in Europe. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held talks with US Envoy Kellogg yesterday. He described the talks as productive and called for stronger relations between the US and Ukraine. The meeting followed US President Donald Trump's criticism of Zelensky, calling him a dictator. Zelensky had earlier condemned the talks between the US and Russia in Riyadh to stop the Ukraine war. Meanwhile, the US National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said that Zelensky must approve the draft proposal that allows the US to access Ukraine's mineral resources. Ukraine rejected the proposal, claiming that it lacks security guarantees for the country. Waltz added that President Trump was very frustrated with his Ukrainian counterpart Zelensky. The US Senate has confirmed Kash Patel as the director of the FBI. He is also the first Indian origin person to take the post. Donald Trump's aide, Dan Scavino, welcomed the new FBI director in a social media post. Scavino posted a clip of a Bollywood song to celebrate his appointment. Ukrainian Air Defence Forces claimed a Russian drone attack on Kyiv on February 20. Ukrainian forces also claimed an attack on its gas infrastructure in Kharkiv region, which hit the power supply in southern Odessa region for a second consecutive night. Ukraine said that Russia launched 161 drones and a dozen missiles. In North America, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has warned the United States that her country will not tolerate an invasion of its national sovereignty. She also vowed legal action against the U.S. gun makers after Washington designated cartels as terrorist organizations. In West Asia, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered an intensive operation against alleged centers of terrorism in the West Bank. The decision was taken after a series of explosions that struck 3 bus-parked ACT depot outside Tel Aviv yesterday. Israel's Defence Minister Israel Katz has accused Palestinian terrorists of the blast. Hamas has accused Israeli Minister Netanyahu of procrastinating ceasefire negotiations. This as Israel and Hamas were supposed to begin talks for the second phase of truce this week. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Hamas has not returned the remains of Shiri Bibas. She was the mother of the youngest Israeli hostages, the Bibas kids. Their bodies were handed over to Israel yesterday. Netanyahu said the group placed the body of a Gazan woman inside a coffin. The statement followed forensic tests of the 4 bodies released by Hamas. Israeli military said it struck crossings on the Lebanon-Syria border being used to smuggle weapons to Hezbollah. The IDF said the raids were conducted after a convoy of smugglers were seen heading from Syria towards Lebanon. The IDF called it a blatant violation of the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. In South Asia, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Johannesburg. The duo met on the sidelines of the G20 summit in South Africa. The two leaders discussed bilateral cooperation between India and Russia and the developments in the Ukraine conflict. In climate news, according to reports, the Trump administration has halted the participation of US scientists in key UN climate change assessments. This move affects staff from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the US Global Change Research Program. As a result, the US will not attend the upcoming IPCC plenary meeting in China, which is crucial for planning the 7th Global Climate Assessment. Peru has declared a 60-day state of emergency across 157 districts due to heavy rainfall. The severe weather has caused widespread flooding and destruction. Torrential rains have led to the collapse of homes, road blockage and overflowing rivers, putting thousands at risk. Authorities are working to manage the crisis, but the heavy rains continue to create dangerous conditions. Greece is facing a worsening water crisis. In southern Greece, aging infrastructure is causing severe water loss, with over half of the water supply leaking from old underground pipes. During the summer, when reservoir levels drop, backup water sources become contaminated, forcing residents to rely on bottled water. This also highlights the broader water scarcity challenges affecting 38% of the European Union's population. Brazil's Sao Paulo has been experiencing a severe heat wave. To help residents, COPE authorities launched the high temperatures operation, setting up hydration stations throughout the city to provide free water and healthcare assistance. The city has been on high temperature alert since February 17, with thousands affected by the extreme heat. Experts warn that such heat waves are becoming more frequent due to climate change. Deforestation in Colombia increased by 35% in 2024, reversing the significant progress made in the previous year, when deforestation had reached a 23-year low. According to Environment Minister, the rise was largely driven by increased forest loss in the Amazon region. Unlike previous years where rural communities were involved, the recent deforestation surge is linked to large-scale operations financed by major capital. Moving on to business and tech news now, US President Donald Trump threatens BRICS nations with 150% tariffs. Trump says if the bloc tries to destroy the dollar, its members would face a 150% tariff. He adds that the BRICS nation broke up after his tariff threat. The US Department of Justice says it is dropping a case against SpaceX. The case accuses CEO Elon Musk of not hiring certain immigrants. The case was filed by the US Justice Department in 2023 under Biden administration. Walmart posts sales and profit forecast for 2026 below the market expectations. Walmart shares fell by 6% after the report. The shares of the American retail chain gained 72% in 2024. Boeing announces the name of its new top lobbyist. The US plane maker appoints Jeff Shockey amidst its mounting troubles. In the latest, Boeing is facing criticism over its delayed deliveries of new Air Force One jets from President Donald Trump. English football club Manchester United incurs a net loss of $7.80 million in the second quarter. This as the club hurt its revenue by playing the less lucrative Europa League instead of the Champions League tournaments this season. Renault reports a record operating profit for 2024. The company earns $4.49 billion in operating profit, beating market expectation of $57.2 billion. The profit makes a 3.5% rise from the previous year. The rise is attributed to lower costs and a string of new launches that boosted margins. Japan's core inflation rises to 3.2%, hitting its fastest pace in the last 19 months. The growing inflation breached forecasts of 3.1%. Market experts say this would push the central bank to raise interest rates. Brazil's Supreme Court orders social media platform X to pay a fine of $1.42 million. The fine is for non-compliance with judicial orders. This as X failed to take down a profile allegedly spreading misinformation last year, despite court orders. The non-compliance triggered a fine and criminal liability on the platform's local representatives. The weekly active users of ChatGPT maker OpenAI have surpassed 400 million. The AI startup has 300 million weekly active users in December, while its paying business users crossed 2 million in this month, which is more than double from its last update in September. An Australian telecom firm Telstra is in a legal mess. Australia's federal court rules that the company misled its customers. This as the Australian competition watchdog initiated a lawsuit against Telstra in December 2022, claiming that the company downgraded its broadband upload speed for nearly 9,000 residential customers without informing them. The authorities seek penalties and consumer compensation in the case. Moving to sports, we start with cricket. India beat Bangladesh by 6 wickets in Champions Trophy. After winning the toss, Bangladesh chose to bat and were bowled out for just 228 runs. India's Mohammad Shami took his record 6 5-wicket haul in the match. The men in blue chased down 221-run target with 21 balls remaining. Shubman Gill remained not out for 101 runs. The 25-year-old was awarded player of the match. India's Mohammad Shami became the fastest bowler to take 200 ODI wickets yesterday. Shami took just 5,126 balls to reach the milestone. With this, the Indian pacer went past Mitchell Starc, who earlier held this record. And Afghanistan are playing against South Africa in the Champions Trophy in Karachi. After winning the toss, South Africa, led by Temba Bavuma, chose to bat first against the Afghan side. This is Afghanistan's first ever Champions Trophy campaign. And An official ICC committee has approved Imam ul Haq as a replacement for Fakhar Zaman in the Pakistan squad. 29-year-old Imam, who has played 72 ODIs, was named as a replacement after Fakhar was ruled out due to an oblique injury. In football, Spanish football found former football chief Luis Rubiales guilty of sexual assault over the forced kiss row. Rubiales was seen forcibly kissing a star footballer of Spain's women's football in August 2023. The Spanish court, however, acquitted Rubiales of the charges of coercion. Manchester United star Kobbie Mainoo's injury is worse than previously thought. Mainoo is said to remain off the field until at least the end of March. The 19-year-old suffered a calf injury in training last week. In tennis, men's world number 3 Carlos Alcaraz crashed out of Qatar Open. The 4-time Grand Slam winner lost 3-6, 6-3, 4-6 in the quarterfinals against Czechoslovakia's Jiří Lehecka. Venus Williams will return to action for the first time in almost a year. This comes after the 44-year-old was handed a wildcard to play at Paris Open in Indian Wells. The 7-time Grand Slam tennis champion last played on the WTA Tour at the Miami Open in March 2024. In badminton, Indian shuttler Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy's father passed away at 65 due to cardiac arrest. The bereavement for 24-year-old comes just ahead of Khel Ratna Award ceremony. Satvik Sairaj is slated to receive India's top sports honour in New Delhi later today. Formula One governing body FIA's president Mohammed bin Sulayem has suggested the potential return of iconic V10 engines powered by sustainable fuels. The futuristic vision aims to merge the nostalgic thrill of the V10 roar with environment-friendly standards. And finally, from the world of showbiz, Amazon MGM Studios has struck a landmark deal that gives it creative control over the James Bond franchise. Longtime franchise stewards Michael Williamson and Barbara Broccoli, an inherited Bond legacy from their father Albert R. Broccoli, will step back from the active production. However, they will still have co-ownership of the franchise. Wilson, who has worked on Bond films for nearly 60 years, will focus on other projects. Oscar-nominated actress Cynthia Erivo is set to portray Jesus Christ in musical. The project, it titled Jesus Christ Superstar, and will be performed at the Hollywood Bowl this summer. The actor announced the news on Instagram, expressing excitement about the role. While some fans are celebrating the bold casting decisions, others have taken to social media to voice their disapproval. Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio have signed on to produce a new crime thriller conceived by Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. The project, set in Hawaii, is being compared to The Departed and Godfellas, though it is still in early development and awaiting a distributor. Johnson and Blunt reportedly pitched the idea to Scorsese and DiCaprio. Actor Alan Ritson has revealed that grueling 4-month training regime he went underway to prepare for the physically demanding role in Reacher 3. Ritson shared that he consumed 7 meals a day and trained for hours. He also endured intense fight choreography to bring the action sequence to life. The actor admitted that this season was particularly exhausting. And finally, Marvel's head of streaming television and animation hinted in an interview that the Defenders are being considered for the future MCU projects. While he did not confirm any specific timeline, he emphasized that integrating the street-level heroes into cinematic universe is an exciting challenge that Marvel is actively exploring. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gusheen Garland and we'll see you right back here next week. Stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.